Welcome to another stream. Just going to make sure everything is working properly, and then we'll get started for tonight's stream. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure everything is. Looks like we are solid and we are good to go. So, yeah, cool. Hello and welcome. My name is Aaron Mashbitz. If this is your first time joining a stream, I'm the host of a podcast called Something for Everybody. We release a bunch of content every single week. Friday, tomorrow, we have a solo episode all about self-development, combine self-image, goals, habits, all into sort of like one sort of masterclass. It's about an hour and 30 minutes long, but I really encourage you to check it out when it drops tomorrow. So the majority of the conversations that I touch on and the topics that I touch on are mindset, mental health, and personal development. But we don't have those type of videos tonight. I decided to kind of jump into the deep end a little bit with a video, a reaction from Amala about Alex Preddy, and then a interesting conversation from the title of Joe Rogan and Burt Kreischer talking about Helen Keller and conspiracy theories and things of that nature. So I haven't watched either of these videos. I'm jumping into the deep end with you guys. And so I'll react, give my live commentary, and maybe we'll learn something in the process. Yeah, so here we go. Let's jump into our very first video.
Have an update on the Alex Preddy situation. For a while now, we've been hearing that he was a peaceful protester. He wasn't an agitator. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He was cool, calm, and collected. And now we have footage that has surfaced that tells a little bit of a different story. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Because before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe. Today we're getting back into the Alex Preddy situation. He's a 37-year-old ICU nurse who lost his life to federal officers in Minneapolis during all of these protests and riots that have been happening in the name of being anti-ICE. Now, we were told that he was a peaceful protester. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He got into an altercation trying to, it seems, protect another protester and then subsequently lost his life. Now, he was armed, for those of you who are unaware of the situation here, and I think that's largely part of the reason that he ended up losing his life.
The interesting conversation around this is that, they had that fraud in Minnesota, and then that all seemed to go away, disappeared. No one talks about it anymore now that these riots are happening. And a lot of people, the suspicion for a lot of people, including, Joe Rogan and Andrew Wilson, who had a conversation on his podcast the other day, think that these are all orchestrated riots to create chaos and confusion, which is why these, horrible things are happening. But they are sort of what's the word? Orchestrated and manipulated riots to cause all of this tension, to keep away from the fact that there's so much fraud from that thing with the daycare, I believe. And now they move right into these riots. And now they're calling everyone a Nazi, and it's all this and it's all that. And it just turns the direction over to something completely different rather than the fraud. And that's what people are talking about. Now they're talking about this, the other woman that died, this man that died. Anyone that loses their life, first of all, is tragic. Human life is sacred. Every human being is made in the divine image of God. That's really important, and we have to address that. But I think also what these kind of political commentators who touch on these subjects often are thinking, like, what's underlying it? What's causing this? Is this orchestrated? This is real? Is someone planning this? Who's giving money? Why is there all these Telegram chat or whatever chats they have where they're orchestrating what time to be there and all these types of things? So it just seems very interesting. So I'm also interested to see what Amala has to say about it, because I find her to be sort of very level-headed, sort of logical when it comes to these types of things. So that's why I'm using her as sort of a jumping off point to actually learn about this thing.
I don't know if there was confusion surrounding the gun. Some people are saying the gun accidentally misfired, as this type of gun was known to, and created the situation in which he lost his life. There's a lot of back and forth still happening, and a full-scale investigation going on right now into his death. But I'm going to get into the new footage that has surfaced of Alex Preddy, and we're going to juxtapose that with the narrative that we've heard about this guy so far.
This is a moment the news movement filmed on January 13th in Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Preddy interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy.
All right, so let's just go ahead and pause there. This is January 13th, as they said. This was 11 days prior to him being shot and killed by federal law enforcement 11 days prior. So this guy has been out here. He's been doing this stuff. He's been committing crimes, as we just saw, an act of vandalism. So this sort of upends the narrative that this is just a peaceful protester who was doing no wrong and that he was just there to vocalize his opinion and stick up for illegal immigrants and his fellow neighbors and his fellow community members. It's clear that he was some sort of agitator.
On the morning of January 13th, our team received a tip that federal agents were blocking a street at the corner of East 36th and Park Avenue in Minneapolis.
So look at him.
We
He's
arrived
here.
around 10:15 a.m. We saw observers shouting at the agents as they walked back to their vehicles.
He just spits at that officer and then goes on to kick the car.
When they started driving away, the man kicked their taillight. An agent then got out of the vehicle, grabbed him, and pushed him to the ground. During the altercation, agents fired tear gas and pepper balls into the crowd. They continued to hold the man down before they retreat, and he walks away. The man in our footage is wearing a similar outfit to what Preddy was wearing on the day he was killed. What appears to be a gun is also visible above his waistband.
And then again, you have the officers tackling him, taking him to the ground, and a fair amount of resistance taking place after you did just commit a crime. I wonder what would have happened if they would have actually just arrested him in this moment, and whether or not we would have had the subsequent incident that we have on January 24th. But as you can see, he goes over there. He either spits at the officer or the car. I can't tell whether or not the officer's in the car at that moment. Maybe somebody can let me know in the comments. And then he kicks the taillight out of the car, an act of vandalism. Now, if he had spit on the officer, that's another crime. So there's a lot going on here that sort of disproves the narrative that we're hearing, that this was just a peaceful, cool, calm, and collected guy who was doing absolutely no wrong. And I'm going to show you one of the clips of Elizabeth Warren trying to push forward that narrative before we get back into the footage.
Caring for people was at the core of who he was. He was incapable of causing harm. Alex carried patience, compassion, and calm as a steady light within him. Even at the very end, that light was there. I recognized his familiar stillness and signature calm composure.
Oh, Elizabeth, you recognized his stillness.
Almost reaction to that is hilarious, but that's really funny, like sort of the side-by-side footage of her talking about his composure and demeanor and the light he has, and him like spitting and kicking the the tail light. And like the other argument on the other side is like, well, even if he does kick a tail light out or spits on an officer, that doesn't warrant him getting killed. And that sort of obviously, like, duh, but like he still wasn't quote unquote peaceful in that moment like everyone is claiming he was. Now, I don't know much else about what I'm seeing here right now currently. I'm just, reacting to it in real time. But it's very interesting to see this footage and the one side narrative, the other side narrative, like people who are pro-ICE and all these types of things, like people who are anti-ICE, like what they believe, what they saw, what these people believe, what they saw. And then, of course, those are the two extremes. I mean, what's actually true, and if you want to have a logical discussion about it, is like what actually lives in the middle. Two things can be true at one time. And I think that's where the discussion needs to take place.
In his calm composure. I'm not going to laugh because the situation's not funny, but just to see these things back to back should really blow your mind. To see the narrative that the
I laughed. I laughed because of sort of Amala's reaction to it. But again, she's right. It's not funny, not a situation. We're talking about a man who obviously lost his life. And again, every life is very, 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 very sacred, made in the divine image of God. But when certain things like this happen and they're causing rifts and division in our society, it is important to discuss them with the most honest lens you can possibly do. And I think that's what Amala is trying to do here. That's why I appreciate her content.
media is trying to push forward, to see the narrative that politicians are trying to spoon feed you as they actively create a situation that's getting worse and worse in Minnesota. It's just astounding. It's just astounding the lengths at which these people will go to get you involved in something that is doing no good for our society, no good for you, no good for illegal immigrants, even at this point, if that's what you guys are even fighting for in the streets of Minnesota right now. It's unbelievable.
If you absolutely love doing sales calls, that's
Nice.
fine. But me, I don't. I hate them, and I'll never
Thanks,
do them.
James Smith.
I do this.
Here, he continues to stand at the scene.
And he's right over here, for those of you who don't catch him.
On the day he was killed, the Department of Homeland Security claims Preddy, a 37-year-old ICU nurse, approached officers holding a handgun. That claim has been contradicted by analysis of bystander videos from multiple news investigations, which concluded that Preddy was holding a phone, not a gun, when he was pinned to the street.
And sure, fair enough. But what else has this guy been doing for what? The last how many days? How many days of involvement in this? And this is not a justification for his death. It is just to say that although this was seemingly, as we looked at the legal analysis of this, a lawful but awful situation, he is largely going out and putting himself in these situations. He was nearly arrested on this day, the 13th. We saw what happened on the 24th.
That's a good point she made. A lawful but awful situation. I like that sort of narrative there.
Who knows what else has gone down in between those timeframes or before those timeframes. It's just kind of ridiculous to go out and put yourself in these situations. And I echo the same sentiment with Renee Good. What were you doing? What were you doing obstructing the roadway, trying to get in the way of a federal law enforcement investigation? What were you doing? And what do you expect is going to happen on the other end of that? At the very least, you should be expecting to be arrested. At the very least, you should be expecting some sort of confrontation. Now, we can get into the back and forth about his death and about the shooting and about the gun and whether it misfired or whether they saw it and shouted gun. We don't quite know yet. But my goodness, could we have avoided this entire situation by you not being here in the first place? And especially you not going to agitate and create problems for these federal officers. People screaming, "Fuck you, fascist whores." And oh my gosh, there's a lot of noise, sound, a lot of distractions happening in this environment. It's got to be tough to be an agent or an officer in this environment. And of course, they are trained for such occasions. But I don't think anything prepares you for what's really happening.
But they're not that deeply trained. And also, people are wondering why they're wearing masks, because people who see their faces and find out who they are sending them death threats. They're saying they're going to murder their family, or they're going after their wife or their kids, or all these types of things. That's why they're protecting their anonymity, which I think is important. And then so many people are relating it to the Holocaust and Nazis. It's like, stop doing that shit. Stop. This is not even close to that. And it's actually ridiculous and a disrespectful comparison. But everything nowadays is related to Nazis. Everything nowadays is related to the Holocaust. Everyone's a fucking fascist. Everyone's trying to take over the world and kill 6 million people. It's like ridiculous to even claim that type of comparison that even enters your sort of thought process about this. And also, again, like I said earlier, this seems to be very, very orchestrated in a particular way to cause chaos and panic. For what reason? Not 100% sure.
On the ground when you're there.
Shortly after the altercation we filmed here on January 13th, federal agents drove away. Soon after that, we left the scene.
Okay. And this is him screaming at federal officers to assault him.
Look at you! Pepper spray, bitch! Fucking assault me, motherfucker! Fucking Fuck you guys!
Now, as you can see, that's another angle of the same video that we just watched. And you can see that he tries to spit in the car as the officer is getting in there. Okay, so let's watch again.
Look at you! Pepper spray, bitch! Fucking insult me, motherfucker! Fucking fuck you guys! Fucking
Okay, now let's just compare that with the narrative that we're getting from the media. This is Anna Navarro. You know her from The View. Here's what she's saying about Alex Preddy on CNN.
They killed the wrong guy, right? Because this is like the perfect guy. Alex Preddy is the guy you would want to date your daughter. The guy you would want your son to grow up to be a decent human being who was serving humanity, serving sick veterans, who is, there's nothing that has been said about that man that isn't wonderful. And so they can't malign him. They can't malign him because we have the videos.
Okay, thank you so much, Anna, for that bit of analysis.
I mean, at this point, anyone from The View that says anything, you just kind of discredit it almost immediately. I mean, that show, people only watch that show because it's like trash. So it's like a version of reality television where the people hosting the show don't know that it's reality television, and they think they're being honest and truthful, and they're like, bringing great news and wisdom to the world, when really people watch it because their takes are horrible. And just speaking about, I have a son. He's 4.5 months old. And, I don't know enough about Alex Preddy to make any distinctions or claims about him. Just the videos that we've watched here right now are the only things I've seen about him. But when I think about my son growing up and the man I want him to be, I want him to be kind and compassionate and empathetic, but I also want him to be strong, and I want him to be able to provide and protect. I also want him to be able to have emotional maturity and emotional prowess and emotional intelligence. And again, I want him to be a capable, strong, passionate, and powerful young man. Like Dr. Jordan Peterson says, I want my son to develop the capacity to be the most dangerous man he can possibly be, and dangerous in a sense that he's competent and articulate, not dangerous in a violent sense. But also the most important part of that is having it under voluntary control. Being able to control yourself in every situation is the mark of a true man. And now I'm not relating this to Alex Preddy. Again, I don't know him. That just sparked a thought in me because I have a son. He's 4.5 months old, and I want him to grow up, hopefully to be the best man he can possibly be, better than me as a man. Hopefully that I can do that. I can act in that way. I can line up my words and actions, that he becomes a better man than me, and he can leave this world better than he found it. That's what I hope. That's my goal. And that's my only hope as a father. So let's continue.
Let's just go back over to the footage here and just think about what Anna said there. He's just the perfect guy, the guy you want to date your daughter, the guy that you want your son to grow up to be like. They can't malign him because he's just wonderful. Everything I've heard about this guy is absolutely wonderful. I don't know, guys. I say what I say in every single video that I've made on this situation and the Renee Good situation. Could this have been avoided? Absolutely. This could have been avoided by just not going on doing any of the things you were doing on these multiple days in which you were doing them now, as the footage so clearly shows. And we can get into the nitty-gritty of the shooting itself and the involvement of the firearm and what this means for the Second Amendment. But was this guy a peaceful protester who was doing nothing wrong, who wasn't creating these altercations? Doesn't seem like it. And that's really the update that we have so far. And it has, again, flipped on its head a lot of the narrative that we're hearing from the media. So I just urge you guys to look out for what you're hearing, because you're going to see this spun a million different ways. And I'm very curious to see how they spin this new bit of footage and this new discovery, if they even show you the new footage and the new discovery. We have that question. They may not even go out and decide to show this to the public. But if they do, I'm very curious what they're going to try to say about this. I guess they're going to say that none of this is related to what happened to him or justification for what happened to him, as we've heard from legal representatives of Preddy in the legal matters that have evolved out of this But I don't know, guys. This is vastly different from what I've been hearing about this guy for the last few days after this situation. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comments down below. As always, if you disagree with anything I said in this video, do get out, but do so respectfully. I encourage.
Thanks, Amala. Appreciate you. Yeah, it's interesting, about what we see in our society and everything, not just stuff like this, but everything in your life comes down to how you perceive it. Everything in your life comes down to how you perceive it. The stories you tell yourself, the narratives, the sort of reality that you see in front of, and how you spin it to sort of fit the thing that you want it to fit. That goes with our mindset, our mental health, our life, maybe the trauma that we've endured, right? Everything is our perception. And I did a video recently for my podcast about self-image. And if you want to construct a new self-image, you have to understand what stories you're telling yourself and which ones are familiar and which ones are familiar and untrue, and how can you rewrite those narratives to construct a new self-image for yourself that's better. Because we constructed a self-image based on our past history, our narratives, our childhood, all those types of things. Our self-image isn't concrete. It was learned. It's an action. It's a pattern. And so that means we can change those actions and patterns to construct a new self-image. So if you're interested in that episode about self-image, again, most of the stuff I talk about is mindset, mental health, and personal development related. I'm just watching these videos in real time so I can learn this stuff. But if you want that episode, that self-image episode, sort of the science of self-image, please text me at my number 201-534-3681. Say you came from this stream, and I'll directly link you that episode. Now let's get into the next video with our boy Joe Rogan. So let's see it. Here we go.
Remember we were doing a new material night one night, and I got off stage, and you walked up to me and you go, "Did you really not know that Helen Keller and Anne Frank weren't the same person?" And I was like, "Yeah, you should think they're the same person."
Did you know what I've been reading? That Helen Keller was a fraud?
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let's start.
Helen Keller and Anne Frank being the same person. Oh my God, that's funny. That's funny. And then Helen Keller is a fraud. Interesting development. Conspiracy theory that I might be interested in. Here we go.
Start here, okay? So, okay. I heard Stevie Wonder could see. Okay. And there's footage of him doing seeing guy shit.
Like what?
Pull it up. There's
all
like
sorts of stuff and some very interesting stories people have told too.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
like there's
Boy,
a video.
that's a great secret. To keep that secret for so long while you're still alive. Helen Keller's dead, and it just leaked out in 2020.
Stevie Wonder doing some seeing guy shit. That's pretty funny. I'm glad Joe is sort of in the dark about this conspiracy theory as I am, so we can learn in real time together.
6.
Dude, I brought a blind guy on stage one time in Hartford, Connecticut. I was like, he was with a fucking smoking hot chick.
He probably didn't even know.
And I said, dude, what a waste. And he was like, what? And I go, you got a beautiful chick, but you could just, wouldn't a fat one feel better? Like, because you're all touch, right? And he goes, no, man, I can feel her face. And I went, what? And he goes, she's gorgeous. And she was.
Oh, you could feel her face.
So this is when I was young, and there were no rules in comedy, and no one had phones. So I said, hey, man, come up on stage. I want you to feel people in the audience and rate them on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, no.
And fucking the confidence of these chicks. I'll do it. Gets
oh,
up,
boy.
feels her face. She's like, 4. And the crowd was like, this guy's good.
If you're struggling to edit your podcast, it's not you, it's your tools. So let's check out how Riverside makes editing.
He could have worked.
I use Riverside. Awesome. Thanks, Riverside. Anyways, here we go.
Fair, Joe. He was so fucking good. He was so good. You have to have footage of Stevie Wonder shaking dudes' hands.
Come on.
There's one where I saw where he comes up on stage and Stevie sticks his hand out to the side and the guy's like, hey, what's up, Stevie?
Yeah, but he would hear people and know that they were to the side of him.
I don't know. That's what I heard. But then I think that's what happened with Helen Keller is right. The story.
Well, Helen Keller
bigger.
Seems like it was fraud. It seems like she probably was like visually impaired. Okay, when someone attempted to shake hands with Stevie Wonder, I pray this.
Oh, it's a joke making fun of it. Okay, so not that.
Oh,
but I did find there's a bunch of compilations of people like this is from Drink Champs. These Stevie Wonder stories keep getting wilder every time.
Shout out! You ever had Drink Champs on?
No. Let me hear some of this.
Stevie's not blind stories. Stevie Wonder be FaceTiming on everything I love. Stevie Wonder does FaceTime me.
Come on, man.
I can't make this shit up.
Come on.
I was in there chilling with I was getting my hair done with my hairstylist.
You gonna tell us a story?
And my phone, and my hairstylist like, did that say Stevie Wonder? I said, yep. I went boop, and he was like, I've been looking for you.
You know, Snoop Dogg said Stevie Wonder's FaceTimes him.
Yeah,
we have all kinds
Stevie
of stories.
FaceTimes me too.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Think Stevie can see?
Sometimes.
What? Okay. Shaq said he rode in the elevator with Stevie and Stevie pressed the button.
We lived in the same building on Wilshire.
All right. I just need to describe this story. He's behind.
Oh, this is so funny. I needed a good laugh.
Park in front. You can park in front, or you can park in the bottom. I'm already in the elevator.
So you say Stevie got out of his car, Dolo?
No, but he got on the elevator, Dolo.
Okay.
And I'm standing in the corner. I see him. I don't want to say nothing. He's like, what up, Diesel? He hit his button, and he got the floor, and I'm like.
Shaq said he rode in the elevator with him. He didn't say that he was in there. He just seen Stevie, like they lived in the same building, and they both walked in. And Shaq, because he didn't want to say nothing, and Stevie said, when Shaq walked out, all right, later, Diesel.
No, first he came in, he
crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, what a great move that would be if he really did it. I think he's blind.
No, it's the pitch.
But what up, Diesel? First of all, the sound that he would make when he walks, like the Shaq is huge.
Yeah.
He's an enormous person. So
Biggest
you'd probably realize there was an enormous man next to you.
You'd have to feel it.
Right.
I'll
He
test
probably
it.
maybe he wears the same deodorant or cologne, because dudes who can't see have amazing sense of smell. Like people smell differently.
Yeah.
You know, like certain people smell different.
Dude, bro, you ever watch Daredevil? That guy's a fucking superhero, and he's blind. But it is funny though. Those videos are funny. But yeah, I mean, just watching the show Daredevil makes you think. But obviously, like, yes, if you lose your sight, you have heightened sense of hearing and touch and things of that nature, like the guy who could tell by just touching someone's face if she was hot or not. But super, super interesting. And very funny. Helen Keller and Frank, same person. Nice.
I guess. I don't notice it because I can see him. But I
Shaq
guarantee
does have his own deodorant.
Yeah, there you go.
No, he has his own deodorant. It's
So he
got
probably
Shaq's head on it, I think.
He probably smelled Shaq's deodorant.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just trying to be charitable.
This is how I think it happened, right? Stevie Wonder goes on what? The Ed Sullivan Show at 5? And he's probably hard. He probably can't see. He probably doesn't have 20/20 vision. He's probably legally blind, right?
And they're legally blind.
Legally blind. Like he can see shit, but it's not great vision.
Right.
And they're like, this is little Stevie. And he's like, what's wrong with his eyes? We can't fucking put his eyes out like that. Give
Right.
him sunglasses. And then the story got bigger than it was. I will say this. Okay. I got video of this. This just proves that he might be blind.
Okay.
Leanne was at a concert the other night. This guy, Corey Henry's Stevie's favorite pianist. Leanne loves Corey Henry. She goes to the concert. She's sitting next to Stevie Wonder. And Stevie Wonder didn't stand. The whole place was standing. And Leanne was like, why isn't he standing? I go, because you only stand to see. If you're blind, you're going to sit through the whole show. It's no different to you.
Right.
So I was like, and then
course.
I have video of Stevie Wonder sitting.
Mm.
But that's also convenient because who the fuck wants to stand for a show?
Yeah. I don't.
Helen Keller.
The Helen Keller one's different.
The Helen Keller one's
because there's doctors that have said, like, it was medical records at the time where people said she was responding to light.
This says that there's that's not true.
The Helen Keller thing? Medical board archives from 1902 to 1924 do not contain examination reports showing Helen Keller had functional vision and hearing throughout a disabled life. And the conspiracy that Keller was a cash cow for Sullivan is debunked by the fact that Keller's full life continued with another companion, Polly Thompson, who also interpreted for her. That doesn't mean anything. That means that other person could be in on it as well.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. Also, this is a time in 1919. I mean, come on.
How easy was a lie in
1902 to 1924? I mean, you could get away with so much. So she supposedly flew a fucking plane?
This says
I told you she flew a
no, hold on. Yeah, this says it was from like a movie, and there's no.
Oh, the movie.
okay.
She flew a plane in a movie.
A silent film. She played herself.
She played herself flying a plane.
yeah,
They
no
just thought
plane.
people were retarded back then. They're like, show her flying a plane. She's the best.
She started the university.
Nothing can hold her back. Why is it holding you back? She can't hear, she can't see, and she could talk and write books. Like, wait, what? Okay, that is this one article. But I've read things that said that the people that were examining her said that she responded to sound and that she responded to light. Just because this one thing says it's not true doesn't mean that it's not true.
Well, then here's the question.
It's also, we don't know. This is 100 years ago.
Yeah.
We really don't know.
How blind and deaf do you need to be before you say you're not blind and deaf?
Right. Well, the thing is, like, can you not hear anything? Can you not see anything? That's blind, and that's
Yeah, I think an important question to ask is like the severity of it all, right? It's like 100% can't see fucking anything, everything's black, can't hear everything, nothing, no sound whatsoever, or is it like, you know, legally to the point where you're probably blind and you probably can't see? I have no idea. I've never looked into Helen Keller. I have no idea. I don't really know much about her story, anyways. But it's an interesting conversation to have. But I mean, Joe's like the king of conspiracy theories. He loves that shit. He reads about him all day long. He talks about him on his podcast all day long. And so who knows? The Stevie Wonder one is funny because of like what Snoop Dogg and Shaq said. He walked in the elevator, poop. But like you kind of know, you feel you smell someone, you recognize their scent, right? Kind of like a fucking dog or something. I have no idea. I'm just fucking winging it here at this point. But Big Joe loves the conspiracy theories, and the one about Helen Keller might be true, but like he said, we don't know. So long ago, like what's actually the point of uncovering the truth? People lie about shit all the time. People lie to get ahead about everything. They lie about this, they lie about that. They want to make money. Money drives everything. So if they can make money by lying about this, they're gonna fucking do it. But who knows? You don't know her soul. You don't know her morals. You don't know her ethics. So what's really the point of bringing this conversation up? Right? It's because it's interesting. That's why. And these dudes love conspiracy theories. So let's keep going.
deaf. Anything else is like, I have poor hearing and poor sight.
Yeah, but that doesn't sell a fucking book.
Right, but that's the problem. Like, maybe she could see a little. Maybe she just had bad vision, and maybe she could talk a little. Because otherwise, how? I mean,
so less impressive.
Explain to me how you're going to write books. Explain to me how you're going to grasp concepts and language and communication and interaction. Explain to me. I don't get it. I've never met anybody since then that's been able to do it. Do any blind, deaf people today write books and fly planes?
And fly planes?
There's only one UFC 325 this Saturday, and on DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting.
See dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
So this is the Instagram thing that I
actually, just based on, you know, DraftKings and all that. The best fucking thing about watching sports nowadays is when they tell you, like, they talk about like gambling and addiction and like, please do so responsibly. Then all the fucking shows are sponsored by DraftKings. It's like so lame. It just goes to show you that everyone's just trying to make a buck, and it's, I don't know, it's no conversation about it. I've no more thoughts about it than that, but it's just like, it's so fucking lame. I wish people were more value driven rather than greed and money driven, but that's kind of the society that we've cultivated and that we live in. So like, I guess it is what it is. But it's just hilarious when you watch sports, like that's all it is sponsored by all these gambling things. And they're telling you that gambling is addictive and it's bad and you shouldn't do it and you should do so responsibly. But also here's like a promo code to DraftKings. It's the same with like alcohol and all these types of things that are bad for you and kind of a detriment to society, but we're going to push them, and we're going to push them anyway. So here they are. But anyways, here we go.
Saw initially on Helen Keller. I'll send this to you.
That's dope.
Yeah, you don't believe that, but you believe that bullshit article that you just pulled up.
No, I'm saying starting with social media isn't the best place.
Listen, it's the best place for information.
That's where I get all my information.
Everything's accurate.
You could start there.
It's all real. It's all real.
You ever told someone, yeah, I read a book about it. It was just an Instagram post. And they're like, a book? I think I saw the same post.
Yeah.
Helen Keller was a fraud. Doctors proved she could see and hear.
That's her?
Her teacher made millions from the lie. It said Medical Board archives from 1902 to 1924 allegedly contain examination reports suggesting Helen Keller retained partial vision and hearing throughout her life. According to those claims, multiple physicians noted she reacted to sounds when Anne Sullivan was not present, tracked movement with her eyes, and physically flinched at loud noises. One sealed report is said to conclude that, I don't like that. is said to conclude that her responses pointed to coordinated deception rather than true disability. Sullivan reportedly refused independent testing. The theory argues that the situation became highly profitable. Sullivan allegedly discovered Keller at age 7, promoted a miraculous teaching breakthrough, and toured the country, charging the modern equivalent of thousands per appearance. Supporters of the claim say Keller's autobiography noticeably changed tone when Sullivan became ill, suggesting Sullivan authored both voices. Financial records are said to show Sullivan controlled all income, keeping Keller financially dependent for life. Linguistic and analytics cited by conspiracy supporters claim Keller's writings mirrored Sullivan's private letters, exactly matching vocabulary, sentence structure, and even spelling mistakes. They argue
based off this one post, which we have no idea if it's true or not. Helen Keller was the ultimate grifter, like your Candace Owens of today. Or like your Tucker Carlsons of today. Well, obviously, if the check is big enough and if the money's big enough, you'll say whatever the fuck you think will get you more clicks and attention based on the money that you're being given. We know that's true with Tucker Carlson. He's just spewing bullshit out of his ass and has flip-flopped on every single thing that he's ever said. You can look at side-by-side videos of that. It's not changing opinion because people are allowed to change their minds and change their opinions and discover new information and grow from that. That's a beautiful part of life. But just completely flip-flopping on everything all the time based on what's popular and who's giving you money is not moral or ethical. And Tucker Carlson does that. Candace Owens is like the #1 spewer of bullshit conspiracy theories that's ever lived. Apparently, she's like an alien now or something, and Charlie Kirk was a time traveler and all this type of shit. And it's like shocking. It's shocking that Tucker and Candace have such large audiences still, and people still take them seriously. And they're still a very dangerous threat to sort of the fabric of our society and the information that people get. And that's the world that we live in. And people are always like, yeah, you should have discernment about the information that you consume. And I think that's true. Of course you should. But how do you know? How are you supposed to know if someone talks with such conviction and charisma and confidence, and what they tell you is they say stuff that's true, and then there's like mixed in with like half truths, and the half truths are covered up with like lies and opinions and all this type of stuff, and then you get sort of this, you think you get this full picture of what you think is true, but it's just covered in horse manure or mixed with like one little sliver of it that might be true, and then that line leads to like this whole big revelation because I'm the only one who knows the information and I've got the secrets. And like, it just like happens so much, especially with Candace and Tucker and their millions of people who listen to them and watch them, and the money they're being given on the side, and then and then they're claiming that they don't get money, right? I don't know. Obviously, it's just I'm alleging that, I'm assuming that, and so maybe I shouldn't do that because maybe I'm, that's bad. But whatever. Like they have to be given some sort of money to be doing the things they're doing because what they're doing is dangerous. And I think it discredits them, and it should discredit them even more from giving their opinion on something that they might actually be right on. And so, that's what today's information economy is about. It's not really information economy. It's like grabbing people's attention. It's the attention economy. So you'll say and do anything to the most extreme level so that people watch you, people view you, and people talk about you. And then you have to keep doing that more and more and more and more and more and more. I've made this analogy before, but like the content information age today is like, yeah, you start off like, let's relate it to OnlyFans, right? You start off with like an Instagram girl switched over to OnlyFans and she just wants to post bikini pics, but now she loses her audience. So she has to keep doing more and more and more and more. And eventually she ends up like Lily Phillips, where she's taking 50 dudes in the back door. That's what a lot of people have to do on their content channels. They start off talking about like one lane of things that they're really interested in, really passionate about, become sort of an expert in, but then people lose interest because it's not divisive, it's not extreme enough, and they keep getting more and 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 more extreme. And now you're playing Kanye West song in a club and you think it's fucking cool when it's not, and you think you're talking about masculinity when you're not. You're a caricature. And so that's what the information age that we live in is. And I think another reason why I like Joe, I don't listen to his podcast all the time, but he does have real conversations that are unedited and they're long and they're just like, information is being shared. But I also think Joe Rogan can do a better job about fact checking the information with someone like Jamie. Like I think they could have a second person there who in real time is like fact checking the things that people say, especially when he has doctors and quote unquote experts on who are sharing information that can impact lives. But this is the world that we live in. And so to put all of the onus on the viewer to say you should have discernment about every piece of content that you consume is absurd. People don't have enough time or energy to fact check and do their own research on every little piece of information that's shared to them. That's a ridiculous thing to expect of people. So the people that are creating the content hopefully can have enough morals and ethics and values to actually produce the right type of information that helps people get the right information or make better decisions or change their life or all these types of things. I just went on a little bit of a rant there, but I think that's really important.
That Keller wrote without Sullivan present, that when Keller wrote without Sullivan present, the work appeared elementary, concluding that her eloquent public words came from Sullivan, not Keller. According to the theory, disability organizations later built massive institutions around Keller's story. When evidence questioning her condition surfaced, it was allegedly suppressed due to protect a lucrative charity, an inspiration-based industry that relied on a powerful symbolic figure.
That's how it came about.
There's no link here.
Shut up, Jamie.
I just want to say.
Stop ruining everything. You're right. There's no link there.
There's not a single link to say, and people even ask like, "Where are the links?" And when you Google some of this stuff,
I like that one though. I knew it.
I knew it.
I'm with that guy.
Christian Harvey.
I'm with that
knew
guy.
it.
I'm with that guy.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. That was funny. At least the beginning part was kind of funny about Stevie Wonder and Snoop Dogg and Shaq. But yeah, I mean, like that post goes to show like you can create a post on Instagram, it can go viral. And no matter what, if you have links or evidence or research behind it, right? There was no links on that. People are asking for it, but they don't get it. They don't have it. So they're still going to believe the information anyways, even though it wasn't fact checked in a very sort of deliberate manner that could actually give people the right information. Who knows? But again, that's the information age that we live in. That's the attention economy that we live in. And it's hard because unlike sort of legacy media, which has obviously its faults, there was some sort of gatekeeping in there, and there was some sort of fact checking in there that allowed for not the most horrendous, horrible, outrageous sort of shock factor take to be taken seriously. Now, if you say something sort of anything to the extreme, it might get 1 million views and maybe it's a ridiculous take, but someone is going to believe it and then it just spreads and there's a domino effect. And so, I don't know how to make it better. I just hope and pray that people who produce content try to do so in a moral and ethical and deliberate manner rather than just trying to grab as much attention as possible because we want to make as much money as possible. And like, yeah, people are greedy and they want money, and that's sort of the culture that we live in as well. But hopefully we can take a step back and see how destructive it is being to our whole society, and that we as the creators and the producers of information and the spreaders of information should try and be more moral about it. And I don't know the pathway forward. I don't have a solution. So maybe that's also the problem as well on my regard. But that's why I normally talk about things that are evergreen. I talk about things that are long lasting, that have been around for a long time, like our mindset, our personal development, our mental health, things that actually can change and shape our life in a meaningful way, so that we take responsibility for our own actions. We take responsibility for our life. We try and leave the world better than I found it, which is what I mentioned when I was talking about what I want my son to do when he grows up. I want him to be like a warrior poet, right? I mentioned that beginning with some of the emotional things that I want him to have, of being kind, compassionate, empathetic, honest. That's the sort of the poet side. And the warrior side is the provider, the protector, competent, dangerous, articulate, things that are going to allow him to be the best version of himself. And he combines those things to create that warrior poet. And that's just what I want for my son. And if I have more children, maybe a daughter, God willing, that'd be amazing. I'll want something from her in that regard, for her to be the best version of herself in greatest service to the world, because the goal should be to leave this place, this world, this beautiful world that we have, and the human beings that we interact with a little bit better than when we found it. And I think that's incredible. So thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate it. Follow, like, subscribe wherever you're at, wherever you're watching this. And please check out my podcast, which is called Something for Everybody, on all major podcast platforms. And I will see you next